this is Joy here from Charlotte Reflexology, and a couple of weeks ago I did a video about raising your body temperature in order to improve your libido. Now, for the past few weeks I've embarked on my own personal program to get my body temperature nice and high, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what worked for me. It actually didn't take very long for me to see results. I thought it was going to take a couple of months, but it actually only took a few weeks. And my body temperature has been steadily high, so I'm very happy about that. Now, I am going to warn you, I am not a medical doctor. I do not diagnose, treat, or cure. And this is what worked for me. I am not promising that this is going to work for you. So I don't recommend that you do these things. If you do any of these things that I'm talking about in this video, that is a personal choice that you've made. I take no responsibility for your actions. So having said that, let's get into a little bit about what I did. Now, what does the thyroid do and how does it control body temperature? Well, the thyroid takes iodine and it converts it into two hormones, T4 and T3. Now, these hormones control metabolism, therefore controlling body temperature. So if you have low body temperatures, you might also be experiencing improper digestion, poor digestion, so you're going to probably have some bloating, and you're probably going to have issues with constipation, not to mention low libido, and you might also experience reoccurring infections. Like if you get yeast infections or bacterial vaginosis all the time, some of that may be due to a low thyroid. I can't promise that's the only reason, but that might be something that you want to look into. So the first thing I did in order to get my body temperatures up was I reduced the inflammation in my body. Inflammation is the sign of stress. Now, why would I do this? Because when you have inflammation in the body, the best anti-inflammatory in the world is cortisol. Cortisol is the thing that gets you up in the morning, and cortisol is also the hormone that keeps you awake. But get this, if you have high cortisol, you're going to have low thyroid function. You can't have both. You can't have high cortisol and you can't have high thyroid. Cortisol, the hormone cortisol, uses the same raw materials as the thyroid uses. So if you have high cortisol, all the things that you're putting into the body for the hormones to be made, the cortisol is using all that up, so it can't make anything else. So if you are under stress, cortisol is going to be high and nothing else is going to be made. So what you have to do is reduce the stress. Now, stress could be a lot of different things. Stress could also be you eating something that you are allergic to, and the body thinks, oh, I got to get rid of this. This is a sign of stress, so the cortisol is going to go up. Cortisol can also go up if you have an infection, if you have the flu, if you have a reoccurring cold, if you have an STD, anything like that that's reoccurring, if you have an autoimmune disease. This is going to tell the body, oh, we're under stress. This is a fight or flight situation. The cortisol's got to go up. We got to get this body out of here. But you are continuing to put your body into this situation, and the cortisol is going to continue to go up. So what I had to do personally is I had to get rid of the particular flu virus that I had, and I also had to boost my immune system so that my body could fight that off and my cortisol level could go down. So once the cortisol level could go down, my thyroid functioning, my thyroid hormones could go up. The other thing, the second thing that I did was I increased my intake of saturated fats. Why? Because saturated fat has cholesterol. Cholesterol is a base material that your hormones are made from. We cannot be afraid of fat. Fat is what our body needs to create these wonderful things. We're seeing where we are putting in synthetic hormones in order to get our hormone levels up, and it's causing us a lot of problems. Yet we're not putting in the necessary materials that our body needs in order to make the hormones for ourselves. Cholesterol is one of them. So what I did, because I'm vegan, I started to increase my intake of coconut oil and palm oil. And also I did some other good fats that I also increased, but they're not cholesterol, but they're also good for those omega-3s, like avocados and flax seeds. I also increased those too. But coconut and palm were the things that I used in order to get my saturated fat in. And I did 2 tablespoons for my daytime meal, 2 tablespoons for my nighttime meal. It wasn't hard at all, and it was quite tasty, so I'm quite happy about that change. The other thing that I decided to do was increase mineral consumption, particularly magnesium, selenium, zinc, and also kelp, which has the iodine. Now, I know for my own body that I was already low in these particular minerals, particularly selenium. Selenium is noted as being deficient when you have low thyroid function. Now, I had to be careful with these because you can easily poison yourself. You can easily have mineral toxicity if you overdo them. So you're going to have to monitor them. This is why I say I don't recommend that you do this for yourself. It worked very well for me. So I also know how to pay attention to my body, and if something was in overdose, then I know that my body would be telling me and I could reduce it. But being able to increase those, I also put in some Brazil nuts for the selenium increase for my thyroid, and that has worked very well. Minerals are also, especially iodine, we know that's part of what the thyroid uses in order to make those 2 hormones, T4 and T3. So that's part of the reason that I included more of that into my diet. Minerals are also some of the things that detox heavy metals. Detoxing heavy metals is going to be something that your liver won't have to do, and your liver is also involved in hormone balance. So that's another good benefit to increasing your increasing your minerals in order to get your hormones back into balance. The other thing that I did was I decreased my consumption of cruciferous vegetables that were undercooked. I love kale chips. They are delicious. But the goitrogens in the brassicas, or especially in kale chips, they don't go away when you eat them raw. So no raw or undercooked cabbage, no raw or undercooked kale, no raw or undercooked, that's another one that, radishes and arugula are also in the same family. And I used to eat that raw a lot, but I had to stop doing that because it was really hurting my thyroid function. So if I eat those vegetables, I love broccoli, I love cauliflower. If I eat any of those vegetables, I have to eat those well cooked because the goitrogens just wreaked havoc. I used to eat them and I would go to sleep at night and I would wake up cold. My hands and feet would be freezing and I would wake up cranky. So when I get cold, I get cranky and you don't want to be around me. I do not tolerate cold very well, which is another issue with low thyroid function. So once I stopped eating those, especially the kale chips, things got better. And I hate to say it, but I was a much nicer person to be around. So, instead of eating those undercooked, I started cooking them in that wonderful palm and coconut oil that I was talking to you about. Tossing them in there and roasting them in the oven has been very delicious and a very good way for me to get those vegetables in. So after I'd been doing this for a couple of weeks, my body temperature went from 97.6, which some people say is normal. I totally disagree with that, but that's just my personal opinion. So it went from 97.6 and gradually it went up to 98.0 in just a week and a half. And then it went up again and it would hover around 98.5. Of course, when I ovulated, it dropped one day and then went back up, which is how I knew that I was in ovulation. And then it continued to stay steady. Even through my period, it continued to stay at a good pace, at a good 98.3 degrees or 98.5 degrees. So I'm continuing with this. And I know that what I'm doing is working pretty well for me. If you've got any questions about this, hey, shoot me an email. I'll be glad to discuss it personally with you. However, I do suggest that if you have a doctor that you like, that you need to work with them because there are some things that they can do that, of course, I can't. Thyroid panels, hormone panels, those are the things that you want to get from your doctor. So this is Joy, and I hope that this is information that you can use, and I'll be back with another video very soon.